you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell Rapin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers. The right message in front of an event planner is the difference between getting booked or getting passed. And so many people want to make more money as a keynote speaker, and yet they seriously just are not even at the table. So I have brought an incredible talent to our show today who's going to really help you see sizzle reels and how to win more business as not just possible, but something I can do quickly and truthfully, somebody you might want to be hiring to get it done at an exceptionally high quality. Please welcome to our show today, Mr. Max Partain. Welcome.
Hi, Christine.
Super excited to play with you on this episode today.
Happy to be here.
So let's talk about this first impression piece, because speaker reels should be 90 seconds or less. People are not going to watch this entire epic saga, but so many people miss the first 10 seconds. What's going on here?
So a lot of people want to have like a 5, 6, 7 minute speaker reel. And I want you to imagine your speaker reel as a movie trailer. If you watch a 5, 6, 7 minute movie trailer, first of all, who has time for that? Second of all, that is just too long and it's going to be really, really hard to maintain interest over the whole thing. So the shorter that you can have it, the more compelling you can likely make it. You can make it compelling over 4 minutes, maybe 5, if your story is like, I had open heart surgery, and then I had 400 kids, and then like this thing. But like most people don't have that. So you want it to be as long as it is interesting, and that's typically around 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
You know, it's interesting because when we talk about what's the purpose of this, the purpose is to be booked. It's not for them to watch your whole keynote speak. And I think that some people really miss this piece. It's like, what can be compelling and interesting that makes me say, I'm confident in what you want to say. My audience needs to hear it. And more importantly, the room will move. And I think, do people just miss what the purpose is? Is that part of the problem?
Yeah, a lot of people know how to make, I'm using the movie theme because I'm a filmmaker. A lot of people know how to make a movie. And that's like their keynote speech. They think that their keynote speech is really great, which is the movie. And they're like, oh, but I can make the trailer for this. And those are two totally different things that you need to accomplish. In the movie, they need to like the movie. It needs to be a beginning, middle, end that's compelling and have story and have this amazing arc. And the trailer is like, you need to have intrigue. You need to make them interested enough to have a conversation. And if you give away everything, if you try to make it 5 minutes and cram all of your key lessons, all of your frameworks, all of your everything, it's just going to be garbage. There's one movie trailer that I've seen that is like, it's just like a minute and a half, and it cuts every second, and it just builds and builds, and you have no idea what's going on, but you want to watch the movie. Now, obviously, speakers are a little bit different, but you want to have that intrigue of like, oh my gosh, I have to talk to this person.
And how do we know if that's what we've got?
A really easy way to tell is that you show your friends who are like really honest and say, hey, look, I want you to watch this and tell me when you want to check your phone. Just tell me at the moment when you're like, yeah, what time is it? Or maybe I got a text or like whatever. Because that is when you need to solve. That's what you need to solve for. And if you can get rid of all those moments, once you get rid of that phone moment, show it to another friend. Be like, when do you want to check out? When do you want to look at your phone? And you just keep going until it's like really tight, really short, and like, dude, I wanted more. I wish there was more. And you're like, done, ship it.
This is fantastic because if we change,
I just came up with that right now. I've never that was great. I'm gonna make content on that. Keep going.
That was really awesome because I said you are such an awesome guy. But I think there's truth here, guys. What is the purpose of the speaker reel? It's a trailer to stir curiosity that gets you booked. And the easiest tell, Max just gave you a super big nugget. Ask somebody, when did they get bored? Mm-hmm. And I think we wouldn't say I ever got bored because you're friends. But if you're like, when did you check your phone? When did, the bird out the window catch your interest or something? That's a really key thing because the goal, you can tell also if a reel works, if it makes your phone ring. Because if you're sending these to people more than one, please. We need a sample size here. And you're not getting the calls, there's a very good time to say why.
Yeah.
And Max does this amazing thing. Well, he'll actually watch your reel and see the gaps and help you bridge that gap. And so it's a talent, and he's exceptional at it. So I think it's also important to say, let's have somebody else who is non-biased say, would I book you?
Yeah.
And it might be the topic's not right, but if the energy's not right, the emotion is not right, and the compellingness isn't right, fix that. Because then it is an issue of just getting into the right room. So what are the mistakes that people make in their reels?
Okay, the biggest mistake that I always see, the freaking classic, is that they put their logo at the start for like 5 seconds. And it's just like, and it's like logo, and it's so boring. And like anybody who's watching your reel is probably watching either on your LinkedIn or on your website or on YouTube, and they're able to see the title of it right there at the top or at the bottom, plus the person who uploaded it with your name. And then you're going to waste my time and add a logo for 5 seconds? Dude, don't waste my time. I think I wrote a book called like the 48 laws or 42 laws of speaker reels. And the number one is like, do not put a logo at the start. And if you do, make sure at least something's happening in the audio underneath. Like that you're starting your message, that you're saying something so that they can hear something, so that you're engaging them in a way that isn't just like, okay, when does this thing start? Like, we're in the age of social media. Make it interesting.
Well, and your brand and your name isn't relevant until I'm curious about how I connect to you.
Yeah, what's the problem?
I think we make this mistake all the time, even in introductions. It's like, hi, my name is X and my business is X. And I'm like, I never include that until the end.
Yeah.
I want the hook, the plot twist, that whole curiosity piece. And then when you're going, okay, who the hell damn is this?
Dude, okay.
Hi, my name is X, and this is how you find me. And it's usually an orientation, and your logo is usually not an orientation, unless you're pretty freaking famous already. Yeah. And if you're pretty famous already, chances are you don't need to speak real.
Yeah, true, very true. If you're Steve, if you were Steve Jobs back in the day, you're good.
You're good. So they're making a mistake in their very first 5 seconds. You also have a really interesting philosophy about what kind of footage you should put into the reel and what those footages actually mean for the person who's looking to book them. Can you give us a snapshot of this? Because when I saw this, I was like, wow, is that the impression we really want to be making?
Yes. Okay. So I've made this awesome framework, and I'll explain it to you, but it's a pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid is your worst footage. Like, this is you in a boardroom with nobody in the boardroom, and it's a wide shot of you in a boardroom. Okay. Next layer is you in a boardroom, but the boardroom's full. Okay. Next layer, and I'll promise I'll get to the point. The next layer is you on a stage with a full room. Okay. So now if we take that, you're going to likely get hired for anything lower than where you are at. So if you are on a stage, you will get gigs in a conference room, but you're not going to get gigs on a stadium. So when you're thinking about the footage that you choose, know that you want to have footage that shows you at your absolute best, looking your best, and you'll get hired below that or equal to that. But don't think for a minute that you're going to get a stadium if all you have is conferences. But if you have a stadium, you could get whatever you want. So I always recommend to speakers, if you have the opportunity to pay to be on a stadium, pay to be on a huge stage with a huge crowd, do it. Because that could be revolutionary to your perceived value. People are going to look at that and go like, oh, this guy's a big deal. Just because you're on that stage for 30 seconds. It could be 30 seconds. That's all you need.
It's all you need. And this was a really big light bulb, because we'd had a conversation that said, we don't have the photography that shows that. And if we're being hired below the class of the photography, this is a strategic gap. And which is why you and I have had these conversations, and guys, that's why you want to follow and get involved and buy Max's services, is he's going to help you build a stage above where you are so that you can have that first impression, so that you can get built in a way as you stack your successes. And I said, we've had big stages in my career. I said, I don't have any photography from that anymore. It never occurred to me to keep it. And so now I think you also said something super important. I'm prepared to pay to be in that stage to get the assets, because this is a marketing expense that is about delivering income. And that's how the ROI gets generated. And you have to think about the runway to this, because you're going to be using this tool for as long as it's current, which is, I would say, 12 to 18 months, and that it should be overhauled from this is the current moment, this is the current timeline, because I've watched people not win business as speakers, not because they're not talented, not because they're not speaking, but because the impression doesn't match and it's not current. And they're like, this was really relevant. The last photography I saw was something pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Ooh, ouch. That's an expensive miss.
Yeah.
So when you're telling the stories and you're building a speaker reel, what else is critically important that immediately delivers the win if you fix?
I mean, the easiest one is the stage. Get a stage. Get a stage, get a stage. It's about perception. And if you can get on a big stage, you get booked for big stages. But it's a lot easier than a lot of people think. So there's a couple options for getting on a bigger stage. Is this answering your question?
Yes.
There's a couple options for getting on a big stage. Number one, the free option. You probably know somebody around you that works at a high school, works at a college, grade school even, or works at a library or a church that you can get on that stage and just be like, hey, look, I'll buy you some coffee. Can I get on your stage for 10 minutes? I'm going to bring a videographer, or I'm going to bring my significant other with an iPhone, and we're going to film it horizontally, please. And then you can get footage of you on that stage. You don't need an audience. Just make sure that you frame it in a way so that it looks like a big stage. That's option number one. Option number two is to just pay to be on a stage. There are a lot of companies that do demo days where like you're on these stages for like 10 minutes and you pay to be in the room, and then you can get footage of you on that big stage. So those are like the two main ones. Other opportunities are when a company, I mean, there's so many opportunities, but when a company has an event and you're just somebody that's visiting the event, but you can get a VIP pass, you can say, hey, could I get on your stage for 10 seconds? And just get the shot of you on stage for 10 seconds. And be like, oh, sure, whatever. There's so many secretive ways to get that footage. And part of the strategy is like, what's the fastest way to get it? Because that is going to be the biggest lever that I always tell people of, like, just get better footage.
Get better footage and think about what you're going to do, even if you don't need to know what you're going to do with it yet. And that's the thing that I think is the miss, because when you're around speakers who are thinking about destination, like, where am I going in my business? Where am I going for my next stage? Where am I going for my next opportunity? We're thinking about where are we also in the development of this. And again, sometimes you're right. We borrow a stage from somebody, and I remember I said, there's no time to be embarrassed about, can I do this? Should I ask for permission? Yes, you should. But it's rare that you're not going to be granted it. Yeah. And so when we've been in, you're right, highly curated stages, the smart in the room are saying, can I take the opportunity to go do something? And then you will watch how others will follow you. But don't be the last one there so you run out of time. And when you do that, you also said something important. I'm going to bring it back because it's an interesting question. You can have somebody in your crowd photograph you, but I will tell you one of the other tips we see is when you are ever going to take a stage. I mean, first off, always take a mic. Get the influence, get the photography, get the video, but be clear. You can phone and ask or stop 5 random strangers and you said, could you just take your shot with your phone and send it to me when we're done? And I have some great footage from very early in my career when I wasn't pursuing stages at the level which will be coming. I just simply had 4 people in the room, random strangers, said, could you WhatsApp me when it's done? They're having different people, different groups, different things. It allows that level of difference. But if I didn't make the ask, I don't want to live with the regret.
Yeah, always make the ask. And you said earlier that like you have done huge stages and you just didn't even think about the video.
Didn't think about the video. We weren't as much in social media. We weren't building personal brands at that time. I was on corporate and running, emceeing big events, 5 hours, hundreds of people in the room, big photography, big, I work for very big consumer brands. And it just never occurred to me that it would be valuable. Yeah. And so now we have to go buy the stage or build the stage. Both are options.
Yeah.
I want to ask you another question, and this comes down to this idea of profoundly human storytelling in the age of dumpster fire. What is What's so important about this? Because I think we all want to be more polished than we are. And is polish really the key, or is it something else?
No, polish is not the key. I think that it is knowing your value in the marketplace and speaking to the flaws that you have that make you human, and then how you overcame those flaws oftentimes. I'll give you an example. So with Renee Marino, she thought that her value was in her frameworks, and it's hi Renee, and she thought that people wanted to know, okay, the communication principles that I have are like backed in research, and I've done so much work on figuring out how to communicate with people. All cool. Those are cool things. But it's kind of generic. It's kind of like, it doesn't really stand out. So then I asked her, like, Renee, like, I looked at all your keynotes. I was making your speaker reel at the time. Like, the thing that really stands out is this story that you told me that you told in your keynotes about you getting rejected to get the opportunity to perform for one of Clint Eastwood's films, to be able to apply for one of Clint Eastwood's films as the lead actress. And it's kind of like, sounds sad, doesn't sound optimistic, doesn't sound fun, but it's deeply human. Who hasn't been rejected? Mm-hmm. And then her story goes into how she ended up going for it anyways, and she got the role, and it transformed her life. But you have to know the story that is like very human, that people can connect with, and then interweave your frameworks and your lessons into that.
Mm-hmm. Love this, because I always have said this to clients, especially if they're selling a service, because we're really buying the way you serve as a critical component to this. And I often have said to people, the story you don't want to tell is the one that will move the room.
Yeah. Can I tell you about that?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So if you watch Renee Marino's speaker reel now, it's like it's 4 minutes long, and it is 75% about that Clint Eastwood story, because it's an amazing story. It's so cool. And she didn't want it to be the story. And she was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is the story that, like, and I'm like, stop it. Like, this is the story. This is the thing that makes you so unique. Who has a story with Clint Eastwood, let alone one that fits in your communication? Like, it's just perfect. Mm-hmm. So it's like being able to have that outside voice of like, look, this is incredibly compelling. Lean into this. Make this not like your brand, but like kind of part of your story. Okay, continue.
Well, and this is the key piece of it. The story you probably don't want to tell is the one that will actually make the booking agent say, you're human enough for my audience to relate to it. And yes, we do want a success outcome, and you can create it, architect it, and deliver it. But you've got to go back to this message. And I hope you hearing us chat about it invites you to think about, what is the story that you don't want to tell? Because truthfully, you cannot have the high if you don't have the I had to pick myself up off the floor. Mm-hmm. I had to do the uncomfortable work. And that's the key to it. So I'm curious for you, because you do an incredible business now. What's working for you right now to win your business? What's the story that's magically really helping open the right opportunities for you?
First of all, you are, and your wisdom and guidance. I'm very biased, but I'll give you a real answer. That is a real answer. I'll give you a different one. So I did speaker reel editing for a long time, and people would give me a ton of footage, and then I would look through all that footage, and I would do basically documentary instincts, and just like, okay, here's the through line, here's the edit, here's the music, here's all the stuff. Here you go. What do you think? And that would take me a week. It would take me a while. And finally, I thought, if I could just get them to say what I want them to say, exactly how I want them to say it, that would make this the most compelling speaker reel ever. That would be really nice. And it would be able to cut my costs down, my time down to like a day per speaker reel, because they're just going on stage, saying exactly what I need them to for the reel. And then I'm going to take their footage, not look through all of it, but look through some of it, get some supporting evidence on there that you've been doing this for a little while, and then build that. That is going to take me 20% of the time as opposed to this other one. So then I went, you know what? I'm going to have a day where I find a stage, I find a bunch of speakers, and I say, look, this is going to cost half of what it would normally cost. We're going to work together, and I'm going to coach you to figure out the script. We're going to go back and forth to make sure that you deliver it well, so that when you show up for your 5 minutes on that stage, you crush it. And then we're going to build the speaker reel off of that.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And guys, here's the difference too. Are you outsourcing somebody who can just pull together clips, or you're having somebody who's a filmmaker, Emmy Award winning at that, who's going to pull this together and say, this is what people will buy. Because guys, this is the whole purpose of your speaker reel, is to get booked in the right room for the right money. And you've got to think about structurally how you stepping stone to that place. So I think it's brilliant. Super excited. I know it's going to be one of many. I will be in one of those rooms 100% guaranteed. And so I want to ask you now, how do people find you? What do they do? What's their first step to go, I don't want the long way. I see what you're saying. I might need help to get there.
Always follow me on LinkedIn. I'm a huge LinkedIn user. I respond to every comment. I respond to every DM. So if you want to get in contact with me right away, I would go to LinkedIn, send me a message. I love getting a message for anybody, and I'm happy to hear your story, hear about you, and give you value in some way. So that would be number one. Number two is you could visit my website, maxpartain.com, and there is some contact buttons there that you can get on my calendar, and you can have a conversation with me. There's also a button on LinkedIn as well that does that. So either one works well.
Guys, I also want you to hear this. If you're a creative, I love this about Max, because I think a lot of creatives get caught in creative channels, and LinkedIn is not often one that we consider as a creative channel.
Oh, I could talk about this forever.
We could. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but this is true. Because I think there's a lot of brand and creative marketing people who are like, I need to play on TikTok. I need to play on Instagram. And the visual arts, guys, look at where he's strategic. Where are his buyers? Who is he watching? He's watching the corporate platform. He's watching that space. He's being incredibly creative on it. And guess what? Disproportionately winning. And if you want to disproportionately win, I will tell you, go hire Max Partain. He's a great human being. Thanks for being my guest today on the show, guys. We want to help you get booked the right way in 90 seconds or less. Let's do it. Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell Rapin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrapin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all